What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Over and Buried podcast, the wrestling podcast where you go over or you get buried. The party of the summer is here. WWE presents SummerSlam, the two-night event from US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Should be a great matchup here. Both nights, both cards. Really excited for this event. This is the second installment of the two-night PLE of SummerSlam, following up from last year at MetLife Stadium during John Cena's retirement tour. So let me know what you guys think. Do you feel that big the big four PLEs, like a SummerSlam, like a WrestleMania, like a Royal Rumble, like a Survivor Series, do you feel as though those all should be two-night events in a stadium aspect versus an arena? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. So feel free to like, subscribe. Really would support me. So thanks so much. So wanted to get into this card and my predictions for both nights here. So let's start off with the banger, the Hell in the Cell match. Oba versus Brock 3, the final installment in this trilogy. Brock, I believe, never has lost in Hell in a Cell. I believe he's defeated The Undertaker, I want to say twice, over the Phenom. Um, and I don't know if it was just me, but that video montage on Raw that showcased some of the most important um, moments over the years in the Hell in a Cell, the Kane debut, Taker versus Triple H, Cody versus Seth, the forgettable Seth versus Fiend match, etc. But I didn't see Mick Foley in there getting thrown off the cage by Undertaker. So is that a petty move by WWE to not include Mick Foley, which is arguably the most iconic moment in that match's stipulation history? But let me know what you guys think there. But yeah, Oba drew first blood at WrestleMania, where Brock retired, came back, gets the second victory, and Oba looks good. He's looking shredded during that weigh-in at 302. I think that he has primed himself. He's really gotten himself ready for this big fight feel. And not only for that, but Oba is the future of WWE. He is the guy. So I think he's primed for this moment tonight, as well as into the future as he won King of the Ring and will pursue a world title run eventually. But of course, on Raw, we got the one up of Brock Lesnar weighing in at 303, according to Paul Heyman, being weighed behind the stage there. But this is Oba's time. This is a detour that he took, a pause in his pursuit for the world title. And we're going to get that back on track, I think. So this is the first step here. Officially, do think Obafemi gets the win in Hell in a Cell against Brock Lesnar in Minneapolis, his hometown. So I believe that this will be the final installment in Brock Lesnar's career. We will get him putting his boots in the ring and gloves one last time, walking away from WWE, basically where his combat career started, in his amateur wrestling days. Um, Brock Lesnar, one of the most, if not the most decorated combat sports athletes in the world. So this is the proper send off for him. And I know a lot of us thought it was originally going to be Gunther to retire him, being the career killer. But you couldn't have asked for a better matchup if it weren't Gunther to be Obafemi, who has really stepped up, who has, taken the torch from Lesnar. So in this one, I have Obafemi winning Hell in a Cell. Next, let's get into some of these tag team matchups here. We have the Usos and Jacob Fatu versus Royce Keys, LA Knight, and Solo Sikoa, original Bloodline member. So we got a face turn more recently from Solo. In my opinion, Solo's character has been great, ever since he stepped out of the Bloodline enforcer spot where he didn't say a word at all. He's a funny guy, on the mic, and I think he's showcased that, being outside of the Bloodline and forming his Bloodline 2.0 and whatnot. LA Knight, I think we're primed for him to get a shot at a world title here shortly, whether that be through a number one contendership match. Maybe he's also being considered for Money in the Bank. And then we have Royce Keys, who I believe is making his second PLE appearance since his WWE debut at the Royal Rumble. So with those three feuding with this new bloodline with Jacob Fatu and the Usos, I don't think that those three, the bloodline, I don't think they're going to be on the same page yet. I think they need to go through some trials and tribulations, and I think they are pretty far removed from Roman. They don't seem cohesive as a unit or a bloodline thus far. Um, so I feel as though that this is going to impact the result of the match. So in this one, I do have LA Knight solo and Royce Keys getting the victory there. Um, for the women's tag team match, we have the six-woman tag with Fatal Influence, the new tag team champions, versus a returning Nikki Bella, Brie Bella, and Paige. This one I was going back and forth on at first. Fatal Influence recently getting the tag titles at Saturday night's main event, taking them off of both Brie and Paige. So I was going back and forth here. I figured, wouldn't it be more beneficial for WWE to book Fatal Influence to keep that momentum going? But then Nikki Bella returned, and I think that's what really confused things for me. So ultimately, my pick is going to be the Bella Twins and Paige to get a one up on Fatal Influence. I think the only way that they lose is if um, maybe Paige takes the pin, the Bellas blame Paige for the loss. They turn heel on Paige, and then we get a returning AJ Lee at a SummerSlam. But I don't see that happening just yet. I think that's the only way that Fatal Influence wins is if we get a returning AJ Lee tonight. But Nikki Bella coming back, they're not just going to have her lose, especially because I think the original plan was for the Bella Twins to win the women's tag titles at WrestleMania prior to Nikki's injury. So eventually, I do think we're going to get the Bellas winning the tag titles back from Fatal Influence at some point, and then I think that will set up down the line a return for AJ Lee, her teaming with Paige, and then we'll get a feud there with the Bellas. So was a tough one for me, but I'm gonna go with the Bellas and Paige in this one. Next, let's go to the Women's World Championship match. We have Liv Morgan, who is the champion, and Io Sky, who won her Queen of the Ring against Liv Morgan. And so we do get a rematch between these two. If memory serves me correctly, I don't believe Liv has defended her championship since WrestleMania, since gaining the title. So this was another one I was a bit puzzled on as to the booking decision. Just running it back when Io has beaten Liv, who is the champion. So does it make sense for Io to go over again and regain her world championship, or Liv? So in my opinion, I feel that we need to start thinking about breaking up the Judgment Day. I think time has run its course there. We have recently seen a Raquel get championship gold herself on her own. Her first singles title on the main roster. And I think her and Roxanne are going to prove that they don't need Liv Morgan, and they're going to see that Liv has been selfish. So I think that we will get some interference with Raquel and Roxanne. Um, I would love to see a returning Stephanie Vaquer come back and cost Liv the title. Um, but I think that might be the only way that Io is going to win this match because, yeah, she could beat her clean with, Io being the better wrestler. But we're going to get some interference with the other members of the Judgment Day. So Io is going to be outnumbered. I think that is going to hopefully set up a return for Stephanie Vaquer. But regardless, I'm locking in Io Sky, your new women's world champion. And then we have Gunther, the career killer, versus Nick Aldis, who's stepping out of his role as SmackDown general manager after various attacks from Gunther. Nick Aldis, this I believe is his first match in WWE. A lot of us don't really know Nick Aldis for who he is, a former NWA TNA champion. Here's a guy who held NWA gold for over 1,000 days, I believe. So he's no stranger to being the guy on top, holding a championship. So Gunther can't take Nick Aldis lightly. Um, and I'm excited to see Nick go in the ring. I'm sure he could really make this a 5-star match with Gunther. But ultimately, I have Gunther winning in this one. I think Nick is really going to bring it to him, but I just don't see Gunther losing at this point. Gunther is teetering on that world title push as well. So I think that would bring us another step back for Gunther should Nick Aldis get the victory here. But this is going to be a well contested match, but I do have to give it to Gunther here in this one. And then the main event of Saturday night one of SummerSlam, we have CM Punk, our WWE Undisputed Champion, versus Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, is he going to capture a fourth WWE Championship since his return in 2022? Um, I think a lot of fans are kind of tired of Cody Rhodes on top. I think the title is defining Cody now. Cody needs to define the title. He's finished the story, so we need something different from Cody. Even we've seen on SmackDown a Damian Priest say that he's tired of everybody uh, getting the same opportunities, the same handful of guys, and that Damian is going to come for championship gold as well. So Cody has done some heelish things as well, with CM Punk, and so I think one of these guys could potentially turn heel, possibly in this match. I wouldn't be opposed to either of them. The machine behind Cody, printing, the money for them, kissing babies and, shaking hands. Um, does WWE, do they get bold and actually pull the trigger and give Cody a heel run? Or do they turn Punk? Punk as a heel, that's turning it up to another level. So ultimately, I do believe CM Punk is going to get the victory here. He said, Cody, I'm going to stab you from the front. He said that, I think, about 2 years ago. We've been waiting for this match. It's been brewing for quite some time. So I'm going to go here with a CM Punk in this one. Now let's transition over to Sunday, where we have some other championship matches going on. And I think this could possibly, be the better night. But yeah, it's going to be a good one. So let's start with Trick Williams and a returning Baron Corbin to WWE for the United States Championship. Trick Williams has really been, establishing himself as a top guy on the roster. I think this has been a good spot for him as U.S. champion. He's done a lot with it, in my opinion. Baron coming back to WWE. Um, this after the Happy Corbin days, where his character seemed to be a little bit lost, and then he found himself again. I think going back to the Indies, and for me, really became more of a fan of him in his seeing a little bit behind the curtain, his life outside of wrestling and his commentary that he's had on Busted Open. I think that's been a good addition. But yeah, I'm excited to see what Corbin does in his return to WWE. But in this one, I got Trick Williams retaining here. I think there's more meat on the bone for Trick, and I don't think Trick is quite ready for the a world championship run, but I think that he can continue to build his momentum and you know uh, establish himself as one of the top holders of the U.S. title. Next, let's go to Finn and Sami Zayn. These are two guys who came in at the same time. Cut from the same cloth, really had established themselves prior to coming to WWE or NXT. And these are guys that are often overlooked. These are guys that are upper mid card, but just can't make it. Finn, that guy who won the inaugural uh, Universal Championship years ago at SummerSlam, about I think it's 10 years ago at this point, and what could have been had he not sustained that injury. Then we have Sami Zayn, who was WWE champion for, I believe, 9 days. So both of these guys have something to prove. Sammy's character has gone the route of complaining a lot more that he's not been giving these opportunities. Cody's been given the opportunities. And Finn, a recent addition to the SmackDown roster. So I think WWE is going to go in the direction of Finn Balor here. So he just recently chopped down a Talatonga. So I think there's more for Finn. He's kind of in that LA Knight spot of, a guy who is kind of right there, but not there yet. And I would love to see Finn face rematch CM Punk again, or if Cody wins to take on his former stablemate, in different renditions of the Bullet Club. So I'm going with Finn Balor in this one. Then we have that gimmick match, that Money on the Pole match. Shout out to Vince Russo there between Danhausen and Dirty Dominic Mysterio. Danhausen, a lot of people are really turning against Danhausen, but Danhausen is in the spot that WWE has wanted him in. If anything has been going right for WWE, in my opinion, in these last couple of months, it has been Danhausen and what they've done with him behind the scenes. I think he's gotten in the ring, it seems, more in WWE in the last couple of months than he ever had been in his AEW run. And I know that was partially due to injury, but Danhausen is showing his in-ring work, not just the gimmicky stuff. So I'm excited for Danhausen, and he's printing money for WWE. So I'm going with Danhausen in this one. Going back to what I said a little bit ago about the Judgment Day, I think it's time. I think it's time to start moving in a different direction, and you know, for Liv to lose and for Dom to lose, that's going to um, make them so defeated that other members, i.e., a Roxanne or a Intercontinental Champion in Raquel, to rise up and realize that they don't need them, or maybe they didn't even need them all along. So I have Danhausen winning in this one. Another match I'm excited for, the Intercontinental Championship match. We have the champion Penta versus Chad Gable. Chad Gable, who went off on his hiatus and learned the art of lucha libre, becoming El Grande Americano. Um, I think that has been one of the best angles and stories that both WWE and AAA have told over the span of really the last year or so. And Chad's match with the original El Grande Americano, just everything that they've done with Chad, I think, has been really impactful for his career. And now learning the art of lucha libre, he's mastered that, going up against one of the best luchas in the wrestling industry in a penta. This is Chad's hometown or home state, rather. So I think this is going to catapult Gable's career. I think we've been really pushing for a Chad Gable Intercontinental Championship run. But yeah, I'm going with Chad Gable on this one, the hometown guy, to get the win here. Um, then we have the women's interim ladder match, championship match between Charlotte Flair, Jade Cargill, the hometown girl, Tiffany Stratton, Chelsea Green, who is a wild card, and then we have Lash Legend, who is the up and comer, um, who could potentially take that brass ring as well. Um, I don't necessarily think the best route is to say interim. Stripping Rhea of the title. I think she has that meniscus injury. Just to say interim. I don't necessarily like that term. When Seth was stripped of the title, we didn't get an interim title. We got a champion. We got a new champion. So I think this is just a way to um, eventually reintroduce Rhea Ripley back into the title scene without building her back up to get to that point where she needs to be a number one contender or whatnot. But in this one, I was kind of going back and forth on this one as well. You could make a case for Tiffany Stratton, two belts Tiffy. Chelsea Green, like I said, could, be, um, a fun champion. I would love WWE to save a potential run for Chelsea with a Money in the Bank briefcase this year. I think that is a perfect spot for Chelsea. So I'm not going to go with Chelsea. Lash Legend, she is going to be a star in this business, but I think we need to hold off on that for now. Jade, as polarizing of a figure as she is, the in ring really lacks there for me. Her qualifier match with Nia Jax, um, the two of them. I don't think they had the chemistry, and I think WWE recognized that once they booked that match, so they cut that short to have Charlotte come in and interfere with that. So, for being a champion, I I don't I could see WWE putting it on Jade, but I don't think that's what's best for business. Yeah, eventually we could get a Jade and Rhea rematch, but I just knowing what Jade did previously with the title and just um her in-ring ability at this point in time, I don't think she has really earned, in my opinion, that top spot. So I'm going to go with Charlotte Flair to capture her 15th world championship. I think this is a safe bet. Um, Charlotte Flair has been away from the world title scene for a long time now, which you never really say that because it always appears that Charlotte is Um, really at the top of the card, always in the main event scene, but not too many people could touch Charlotte in the ring. So I think this is the safest bet. I think Charlotte is arguably her most likable, rendition of the Charlotte Flair character in her career at this point in time. Her work with Alexa Bliss in a tag team has really showcased her as showing more personality, more as uh, a person versus Ric Flair's daughter, the Queen, the one who's just handed all of these championships, who's the nepo baby. I think Charlotte's work has tremendously improved, and I think that's shown for the fans on TV. And this goes back to even a couple of years ago. I think it was 2023 or four. Went to a house show at the PPL Center in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and Charlotte Flair was so liked by all the little kids. She was high fiving and hugging them on her way to the ring, and that was eye opening. Of people really enjoy Charlotte. And that, I think, was the beginning stages of the Charlotte character that we see now. Um, so again, I think she is the most popular or likable she's ever been. Maybe not popular, but the most likable rendition of her character. So I'm going to go with Charlotte Flair here. Not just because it's a safe choice, but because of her in-ring work. Um, you know, none of these women, unfortunately, uh, you know, can touch her in the ring, in my opinion. I think Charlotte is one of the best of all time. Um, and finally, the other reason why I think Charlotte Flair needs to be given another run with the WWE Women's Championship is because of her relationship with superfan Scarlett Guillen, who unfortunately had lost her battle with brain cancer this past month on in July. Charlotte, you've seen multiple social media posts of Charlotte, um, bonding with Scarlett, in various documentary features, videos, seeing that relationship and the impact that Charlotte had on Scarlett's life. I think that is would be such a feel good story. So would love to see Charlotte do that for Scarlett. And I encourage everyone to go and donate to the memorial for Scarlett Ivory Guillen, the GoFundMe page that I believe is close to its goal of $100,000. It's about 78% there with $77,668 raised. So I encourage everyone to go donate there. Um, I know I did because it's a good cause. Um, Certain things go beyond wrestling. At the end of the day, we're all human. These are humans that are actors on a stage, that are performers in the ring. So I think this would be a great feel good moment for Charlotte and for Scarlett's family. And I know Scarlett would be looking down on Charlotte, and really thankful for I'm sure, the impact that she's had on her life. May Scarlett rest in peace. And I believe that Charlotte should be winning this match. So that would just be, an extra case for Charlotte to win here, getting that feel good moment. And then we have the main event of SummerSlam: Roman Reigns versus Seth freaking Rollins. These two Shield members. This has been a match that has been building for quite some time, just like the Cody versus Punk match. We got the triple threat match, WrestleMania 41, between these two and Punk. I think this year the this year's WrestleMania was the original plan to have Seth versus Roman, but with Seth's injury, obviously, that wasn't that never transpired. So this has been building for quite some time. Roman, saying that he needs to beat Seth Rollins. Seth being the guy, who lives rent free in Roman's head. He Seth acknowledges that, Roman, you've done things that I've never done, that I can never say. I've reached certain heights in his career. He acknowledges that, but he also knows deep down that you strip away all of those championship reigns, those main events for Roman Reigns, that Seth has always had Roman's number, and I think that has consumed Roman a little bit. That he knows that he cannot officially put a bow on his WWE career without getting a win over a Seth Rollins. So, great story. I think, we're going to get Roman Reigns get his victory here against Seth. Seth has had some great moments against Roman Reigns, you know, um, i.e., the heist of the century, cashing in at the main event of WrestleMania against Roman. So Seth has had his number. I think we'll give one to Roman Reigns, but this is going to probably be the best, if not one of the best stories being told in ring for this match. But I know Seth is great as the World Heavyweight Champion. He's the inaugural in this rendition of the World Heavyweight Championship. But I think, obviously we got Roman Reigns, getting a victory and going over here. We had Obafemi calling him out after WrestleMania. So those two are on a collision course at some point in the future. I think that is going to be the WrestleMania 43 main event, potentially, if we don't get The Rock, which with Saudi money, if with what they want, I think Saudi's going to want The Rock. So with that, have to just touch upon, who could potentially return at SummerSlam over the next two nights. So could it be a Randy Orton returning? Could it be a Rock? Could it be a Kevin Owens? Um, could it be a Stephanie Vaquer coming back to the ring after her injury? Um, could it possibly be a Drew McIntyre, maybe a Naomi? Who knows? Could we see, like I said earlier, maybe an AJ Lee? We saw Karrion Kross post a picture with Sami Zayn in it, and we know the history that the two of them have had. Could we maybe get the pipe dream at the end of this main event? And could we get a returning Dean Ambrose? That would, I think, really be a defining moment in SummerSlam history if we do get those three Shield brothers in the ring one final time for that moment. I think that would be um, a really feel good moment there as well. But I don't see that happening. With SummerSlam, we do get some returns or debuts. Maybe we get a debut from a Zilla Fatu. Who knows? But yeah, this is going to be a great weekend of wrestling here. Two nights, SummerSlam. Those are my predictions for both Saturday and Sunday. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Where did I go wrong? And looking forward to see how we come out leading into Money in the Bank and what's to come here as we build up to WrestleMania 43. So it's going to be a good one. So let me know what you guys think. Appreciate the support as always. Thank you for the house, and I'll see you in the next one.